Hi everyone, welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. Another week and another opposition view today. Glad to say I'm joined by Martin Sanders, podcaster, broadcaster, and all-around Southampton fan. Welcome to the show, Martin. Thank you for coming on.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. We mentioned a little bit off camera about how big a game this is for Southampton. Currently 20th in the table. But things have started to turn around a little bit. We'll talk about that a bit later. But thoughts on the season up to now, because of course Southampton, we're an established Premier League club, in the league for about 10 seasons without being relegated. But coming back up, you've got to have been hoping for a little bit better than this, surely.
Yeah, I've been really disappointed. I've got to be honest. I think it's been. I think we all thought it was going to be tough. I don't think we thought it was going to be as tough as it has been, and it's not helped by a lot of situations. Really, the manager wants to play a certain style of football, which he is very stubborn, and he wants to go about things in his way. He likes a possession-based, slow build-up from the goalkeeper to the centre backs, full backs, and a slow build-up. The problem is when you don't have top players, top premium Premier League players, this style is really, really hard to pull off. And it's susceptible to so many mistakes. And the one thing you'll see, if you look at Southampton's statistics this season, is the amount of goals that we've let in. It's incredible. We've let 19 league goals in. We've let 6 in the cup as well, which is a huge amount. And that's in just 12 games. 25 goals in 12 games is too much at any level of football. But we don't score enough. We've only scored 10 goals in all competitions this season. So something has to change really, really quickly, because as it stands, we're going to get relegated really, really quickly. And we need to find a way to win football games. And this game against Everton is massive. It's so big for us right now. Big for the manager, big for the club. And a defeat would be unbearable for any Southampton fan this weekend.
Yeah, do you know what? It sounds quite similar to our situation with Roberto Martinez. Of course, it wasn't as bad as we were in the relegation zone, but you need to have world-class players to pull off a system like that. And I think Russell Martin, when I've seen how he's spoken about it, I don't want to use in denial. I think that's a bit harsh, but it seems he questions the commitment of his players an awful lot. And for me, I think asking them to play the system that they're playing, we saw it last year as well with Vincent Kompany coming up into the Premier League with Burnley. You have to be very streetwise to come up and do your first season in the Premier League. But I mentioned at the top of the show about how it's getting a little bit better now. Of course, there was that win over Stoke City in the Carabao Cup. You did make it hard for yourselves, however. And going away to Manchester City, only conceding 1. There was a lot of praise for Southampton in and around after that game. The last couple of games, can you see a bit of an improvement?
Honestly, not really. Not from what I saw against Stoke City. I thought we played well at City, I'll be honest. We'll play well. It's so different, isn't it? Going into a game against somebody like Man City and putting 10 men behind the ball, defending and trying to get your breaks when you can. And we did struggle to get past the halfway line. They had a lot of the ball. They penned us in. I think first half we had periods of time where we had quite a lot of the ball. We just didn't go anywhere with it. We struggled to penetrate. We struggled to get the ball in the final third. I don't think we had a shot until the 44th minute in the first half. I was there, and but we dug in. The one thing he's got, and credit to him, he's still got the players playing for him. They're still playing for him. There's no doubt about that. He's the majority of them are there. They're buying into him and they're giving everything for the cause. They just make silly mistakes. They didn't make any stupid mistakes at Man City, luckily. But Stoke City in the week, it was a few changes to the start 11 as you expected. But the biggest issue was set play again. We got done from a set play just before half time. And it was sloppy, really sloppy. And we wanted the confidence boost going into this game against Everton. And really and truly, it did a little bit more damage than anything else, because we pretty much capitulated again in the second half. It could have been 3-2 Stoke. Stoke had 2 shots at goal, scored them both. And it could have been 3-2. They had a clearance. We had a clearance off the line from one of their efforts. It was a breakaway. And just about cleared it off a line. It would have been 3-2 Stoke, and that would have been, I think it would have been curtains for us in the competition if we'd gone 3-2 down. But the performance at home, certainly second half, people walked away really negative after it because the second half was just so poor. It was so poor. You look at the scoreline, it looked tight. But the performance against a very young Stoke City side, and they were young, a lot of changes, I was alarmed at some of the performances that I saw in that second half.
Yeah. I saw that actually. Sugawara's clearance off the line, and it's honestly, it's like playing Russian roulette. I think sometimes this type of football, and the second a team sort of come at you, it can seem that you completely, sort of covered by it and completely suffocated by the opposition. And one of our players, actually, our former players, Tom Cannon, getting the goal for Stoke, and of course, you did get through. You've been rewarded with a trip, a game against Liverpool in the next round. But so there is some positives to what's going on at Southampton now. But what's your verdict on Russell Martin? Firstly, do you think he should go now? Secondly, do you think he will even last the season?
I really like him. So first and foremost, I love what he did last season. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the togetherness he brought. I loved the way he interacted with the fans. I thought he was brilliant last season. But I thought he would have adapted a little bit more in the Premier League. I think we've all learned from Burnley. We've seen what Burnley did last season, whether he's been equipped with the right players. But there's a little bit of naivety at the moment in the way he wants to play football at this level. He doesn't have the players to do it. I think the proof is in the pudding in the results. We're 25% of the season gone once we finish the game on Saturday. And look, if we don't get a result on Saturday, I think the majority of the fans will be calling for his head. I've been quite patient with him till now, but I've been saying in a few shows that I've done this week, the club must come first, results must come first, and he must find a way to start winning football games. Something we're not doing. We're letting him way too many goals, and they need to address it quickly, because against a side that's powerful, that lump balls in the box, that are good from set play and use target men, we're in all sorts of trouble. And that's what I fear about the game against Everton. How will Everton approach it? Calvert-Lewin's big and he's strong. I think he could have a field day against our two centre-backs if they're not at it. And they will have to be bang at it for this one. But he's under pressure. If he doesn't get a result against Everton, I would say it could be it for him. I think it's we've got Wolves next week before the international break. Will he get that game? Maybe. But I am a little bit concerned, Stephen. I am a little bit concerned that his way of playing, will it get results in the Premier League? Proof's in the pudding so far. It hasn't. Do I think he should go? I think he needs to find another way to play football quickly, and hopefully he saves his job. But will he be at the end of the season? I don't think he will be. That's my gut feeling at this moment in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, well, you mentioned there about how this is probably the best type of team that Everton could set up against. But, talking about the season Southampton have had so far, I mean, it's not much more optimistic when you're talking about Everton. And certainly with our last game against Fulham, which we didn't deserve to get anything out of, there's a lot of fans questioning the team selections, the way the team sets up. What's Sean Dyche's motivation for this season? Is it just to stay in the division? Or is it to go ahead and try and do something a little bit more? And of course, at a club like Everton, where you're under constant scrutiny, it's been a bit controversial at Everton as well also, so you're not alone in that sense. Everton this season, of course, we have a terrible, poor start. We lost the first 4, but we've started to pick up a little bit now, unbeaten in 5. What's your opinion on Everton and Sean Dyche so far?
I think any Southampton fan would probably take a manager like Sean Dyche right now, somebody that would keep us in the division, somebody that would play a bit more direct, get you a bit more organised. I think he's a great manager, isn't he? If you're looking to just stay in the league, he has his way about going about winning football games. It's not necessarily exciting, expansive football, is it? But you're guaranteed that you'll be more than fine this season with him. I think if Everton want to kick on, it'd be interesting to see what they want to do, how ambitious they are, and in the terms of what they want to do managerial wise long term. Is he going to take Everton to the next level? I'm not convinced as a football fan that's watched his sides over the years, whether Everton fans are really going to enjoy it. And that's the big thing, isn't it? You want to enjoy your football, but you want to see results. And it's a tough one, isn't it? I still think he's got a very good crop of players. When I look at Everton's team, Calvert-Lewin, he get into a lot of Premiership sides when he, Dwight McNeil, what I've seen of him, he's a very, very good player. He's got one of the best goalkeepers in the league in Jordan Pickford. And, you look at the two centre-backs, I like them both, Keane and Tao. Is it Tierwalski, is it? Plays at the back, the two centre. Yeah. Both really good centre-backs. And left back as well is always really solid for you. I think he's got really good players there. It must have so much potential to do so much more. It's a massive football club, so much heritage. And you go to Goodison Park, and I watch a lot of content from football content creators around Everton because I love the passion from the Merseyside and the Blues. I just think there's something special there at that football club. And obviously, I'm working with Asmir Begovic, and he gives me a little bit of an insight into what it's like as a Evertonian. And it's a special football club. It really is a special football club, and it's a big year for them next year. Obviously, going to a new stadium and making sure they're in the Premier League would be first and foremost, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and I think that's what I mean when I say that the manager will always be under constant scrutiny because, as much as people would like to pretend that we have won a lot of trophies over the course of our history. We've been founder members of the 2 English football leagues. Our grounds hosted the most top-flight football matches in history. So, with Everton, especially when you compare to Liverpool, who are doing very well as well, and you're constantly working with Reds, I think there is always a scrutiny that we can never let ourselves fall to the point of just staying in the division. And it's been an absolute roller coaster so far. We're only in the end of October, and already there's been questions over Keane and Branthwaite. Started the season, Michael Keane was probably the biggest villain at the club. Now he's probably the biggest hero. Calvert-Lewin, there's a big question over him, whether he's going to be playing for us next season, whether he should play for the rest of this season, or whether Beto, obviously the likes of Armando Broja as well, who's come in for us on loan. And even Michael Keane up top has been suggested an awful lot. So it's been an absolute roller coaster, but honestly, it's nothing new when it comes to supporting Everton. Let's go back to Southampton a little bit just before we talk a bit about key players. Of course, lineup for Southampton do you think there'll be any changes this season for this game, or do you think Russell Martin will keep it solid and keep it the same?
Yeah, I think you probably see something very similar to the team that started against Man City at the weekend. The one thing I would say for Russell Martin, he's really struggled to find any continuity with his starting 11, and that is a little bit of a worry for me. Does he know what his best 11 is in this division? And he's trying to settle it down, and he's fallen upon something that I think he thinks might work. Though obviously we threw away a 2-goal lead against Leicester at home last time, but the team that started against Man City was with a back 5, and that was Jack Stevens, Jan Bednarek, and Taylor Harwood-Bellis. I think he'll stick with that the weekend. I think the big question mark will be who plays out on the left side. Will that be Ryan Manning, or will it be Carl Walker-Peters with Yuki Sugawara coming in at right back? The midfield kind of picks itself at the moment, which Adam Lallana come into that midfield at the weekend. I think he keeps his spot this weekend just because he gives you that professionalism. He's played at the top level. He's a good leader. You need him in the side. Flynn Downs, hopefully he's recovered from an injury. He picked up an injury against Man City, went off injured. Cameron Archer would start up front, I would expect. And I don't think you'll see many changes to the Southampton 11, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm. And who would you say is the big danger man for Southampton at the moment?
Our biggest problem is hurting teams in the final third. So how we hurt you, I think it's an interesting one, how we match up. Mateus Fernandes, he wears the number 18 shirt for Southampton. He's been one of our better players, very creative in midfield. But he does a lot of giving and going, but I've not seen him make those breaks from midfield and look like scoring goals. I think probably the standout player of the season so far in terms of attacking wise would be Tyler Dibling, who plays off the right-hand side. He wears the number 33 shirt. He's a very, very good player. He's 18 years old. He scored against Ipswich at home. He has moments of absolute brilliance, but he is very young. He's come through our academy. He's got a bit about him. He's been good against the sides in and around us. He's maybe struggled against the Arsenals. He struggled a little bit against City at the weekend, but he's a good player. He was rested in midweek. I expect him to come back in, and he'd be certainly one to look out for. And potentially Kamaldeen Sulemana, if he can get an opportunity at the weekend. He's got a point to prove at the moment, a powerful winger. He needs to start delivering. One of the club's record signings, done nothing up until now. So they'd be the players I look for at the weekend for sure.
Yeah, I almost forgot about Sulemana. Actually, he was heavily linked with us, wasn't he? Before he ended up choosing Southampton. And just before we do our lineup quiz to finish the video off, can I get a score prediction off you, Martin?
Yeah, I have to go with my team because it's difficult. My heart is saying a Southampton 2-1 victory, but we concede at least 2 goals a game. At least 2 goals a game up until now. So I actually think in my head, I can't see beyond Everton, to be quite honest. And it's difficult to say that as a Southampton fan. I watched us capitulate against Leicester at St Mary's a couple of weeks ago. I saw the game against Ipswich and I was there. We threw it away last seconds of the game. I think Everton will really go up against Southampton's weaknesses with Calvert-Lewin and Beto. I wouldn't be surprised if I'd be interested to get your opinion on the starting 11. But, those two could cause all sorts of problems to Saints. I'm going to go with a 3-2 victory to Everton. I think that's how it'll end up. And it's horrible to say that as a Saints fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think for our starting lineup, it'll probably be a case of Beto maybe starting. There's been lots of calls for it after he got that winner against he got that equaliser, against Fulham last week. And to be honest, I think it's worth a go because at the minute Calvert-Lewin just doesn't seem to be able to play up against 2 centre backs, and I can't see Sean Dyche changing his system away from that 4-5-1 that he loves to play. So, for me, I think it'll be the typical lineup. But, of course, there is questions over Dwight McNeil. So you might see Jesper Lindstrom come in on Saturday. But apart from that, I think the team will look pretty similar to how it has the last couple of games. There is a case there for Jared Branthwaite, who's fit again and, of course, is arguably the best player at the club. But we all know that Sean Dyche loves his favourites and he loves his Keane and Tarkowski centre-back partnership. So it's a bit of a hard one to predict, to be honest, but I am just going to wait until Saturday afternoon, and we'll see what the team is looking like. But in terms of score predictions for me, I don't want to say I'm too confident, but I think a 2-0 or a 2-1 win. I can see Southampton scoring. I can't see us keeping a clean sheet. But yeah, we'll see. I don't want to say I'm confident for this one. Our away form is slightly better than our home form under Sean Dyche, so I think it helps us actually this game being away from home, and we had a really good performance at Portman Road against Ipswich a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win, and we'll move on to our line quiz that we do at the end of every video. Just before we get into it, make sure you leave in the comment section down below your players who played for Southampton and Everton, and me and Martin will go over some of them at the end of the video. So, Martin, 15th of August 2015, Southampton, as I mentioned at the start of the video, were very much an established Premier League club at this point, a really fun team to watch as well. There's some of the players in this lineup that I'm looking at that, certainly would walk into a lot of Premier League teams now. But can you name as many of the starting 11 from that game as you can? It was a sunny day at St Mary's. I think it was maybe the second game of the season. And there is actually a former Everton player in this Southampton squad as well.
And what year was this? In
2015-16, that famous year when Leicester won the Premier League.
Who was the Southampton manager that year? Does it say?
Oh,
I
can take a little look for you. I've never been asked that. I'll take a little look, but I think it would have been around 2015, isn't it?
I'm trying to think who the Southampton manager would have been there. I'm trying to think.
Try and get to the manager as well.
Yeah, Ronald Koeman managed us both sides, didn't he? At one stage.
Yeah, it was actually Koeman. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Ronald Koeman. He had he had a very good side, Ronald Koeman. He had a striker back then, a lad called Graziano Pella. And he scored a lot of goals for Saints under Ronald Koeman. A very a tall striker, slick back hair. Apparently, smelt very nice as a player, but he was very good. He would lead the line for him. But he had a good spine of that team as well, because he had a lad called Jose Fonte played centre back for us as well. He was a brilliant centre back. I think he maybe captained the side then. I'm not sure if he captained the side that day, but he was certainly
I would have thought that he had. It doesn't say on my list, but I would have thought that he had. He was on the coverage for the European Championships as well this summer.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he did a bit. So the goalkeeper, was he Dutch?
Yeah.
I think it was Dutch. Played for you and played for us, Stecklenburg.
He actually followed Ronald Koeman, didn't he, to Everton?
He did follow Ronald Koeman. I remember him coming. Wanyama played in that side as well. He was really, really good. Top player, actually. How many have I got to guess? I've got to guess the whole team.
You can try and guess as many as you can. You've got 4 at the moment.
I'm trying to think who else played for the manager at the time. I'm not sure if Sadio Mane was there at the time, but he came in under Ronald Koeman and was really, really good for us before he moved to Liverpool, unfortunately. Tadic played in that side for a period of time. Whether he played in that game, I don't know. Cedric Swords would have been the right back. Trying to think who played left back for us.
It's a funny one, this. It's one that I forgot actually played for Southampton. He's listed as Scottish in my lineup, but I think he's converted to England now.
Where's he playing?
Very, very young at this point.
Is he playing football now? Is he still playing football now?
Yeah.
Trying to think who it would have been. Tough one. It is a tough one. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who the left back was. How many players have I got on that side now?
You've got 7 now, so you're 4 off. But obviously, if you want to give up on the left back, I can tell you who that was.
Tell me who the left back was. Yeah, tell me who the left back was.
Matt Targett was at left back.
Yeah, Matt Targett. Yeah, I remember him well. He didn't start loads of games, did he? I try and think who was playing left back that time. I was going to say Ryan Bertrand potentially, but it wasn't. I try to think of the strike force, what it would have been. I don't think Ricky Lambert was around at this stage. I think he'd gone by then. I'm pretty sure he had done. So I would imagine potentially in after that, Shane Long potentially played in this game, or would have been in that squad. Yeah, he would have been. Did I say? I'm thinking about the midfield. Morgan Schneidlin?
No, I think Schneidlin might have got off to Man United at this point.
He might have gone by then. That's pretty much everybody I can guess, actually. Oh, yeah, centre-back partnership. Fonte, Yoshida would have played as a centre-back partnership under Koeman. That's it. I can't count. That is me maxed out, I would say.
Well, the only one that it looks like he couldn't get from that was Targett. And also Stephen Davis, who was a really handy midfielder, wasn't he?
Yeah. Stephen Davis. That's a big miss. That's a big miss, Stephen Davis. He was good, Stephen Davis, I've got to say. He was,
do you know what? I'm reading through it, and there's just some really, really top players here. You weren't lying when you said that Koeman did have a top squad. He had Gazaniga on the bench and got as a goalkeeper. Cuco Martina, another famous ex-Everton player for better or for worse. Harrison Reed, who's currently at Fulham. James Ward-Prowse. Right to say he's a Southampton legend in a lot of ways.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, a lot of them like him. I don't think he left under greater circumstances, but yeah, he was a Saints legend, definitely.
And then you had Oriol Romeu, Juanmi, and Jay Rodriguez as well on the bench. So really, it's disappointing Southampton didn't do a lot more with that squad, isn't it? Yeah,
should have done a lot more. Got a couple of European places, but he was good. That was one of our best spells under Koeman, probably, to be fair. Didn't win anything, but had some of our best football under Ronald Koeman. And then he obviously went off to Everton, and I think Ralph Hasenhüttl coming afterwards, and weren't never really kicked on after that. We kind of went backwards after that. After that sort of squad dismantled, we went backwards after that, to be honest. So it was tough.
Well, according to my list here that I've looked at for managers, it was Maurizio Pochettino just before Koeman, and then it was Claude Puel straight after.
Of course it was.
Yeah,
always forget about that in between.
a team like us in Southampton who've had the fair share of managers in the last 10 years,
A lot.
you can be forgiven for mixing them up and forgetting who's who, especially when some of them didn't do too well. But hope you got them down in the comments section down below, players who played for Southampton and Everton. We did give you Stekelenburg and Martina. Can you get any more there, Martin, just before we finish? There's a couple of relatively famous ones, players who've played in both the red and white of Southampton and the blue and white of Everton.
Definitely Stekelenburg. James Beattie was another one. He went from Southampton to Everton. Trying to think who else.
How was Beattie regarded with Southampton supporters?
Yeah, really well liked. Really, really well liked. He played in a charity friendly a couple of weeks ago for Russell Martin's foundation and Southampton's foundation, and he's well received down there. He's ran the club a lot. He goes to a lot of away games. You often see him in the fan base. So, yeah, he's very, very well thought of down here, I've got to say. James Beattie was definitely one of them. Obviously, Ronald Koeman, the manager. Trying to think who is players that have gone from Southampton to Everton.
Players who played for both. I've got one here who's quite.
There was a winger, wasn't there?
At Everton, which is Mason Holgate.
Mason Holgate, absolutely dreadful when he comes to Southampton.
I'm glad to hear that he was terrible for you as well. It's a bit of a thing on this channel that my hatred for Mason Holgate, and to be honest, for Halloween I could have worn a Mason Holgate shirt because he absolutely terrified me in defence.
I've got his Southampton shirt upstairs, actually, his player worn one. Not that he played that many games, but I have got one. Through your goalkeeper that give it to me actually on the day when they played each other a couple of seasons ago, when QPR played Southampton last season. But yeah, he's not well liked in our fan base. It's Mason Holgate. Andre Kinchauskas played for both, I believe. I think he played for Everton, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. That's very famous. He played for Everton, actually. There's a Christmas jumper out at the minute with Kinchauskas 17 on the back. He's very, very well regarded at Everton, and his son is actually still comes to the game an awful lot. I didn't know he played for Southampton though until looking at this video. Yeah,
he did. And there's another one. What about Neil McCann? Did he play at Everton at all? I'm not sure if he did.
I don't have him on my list, but you can educate me a little bit.
Yeah, he signed for us from Scotland. I can't remember if he ever played for Everton. He might not have done, to be honest. But Morgan Schneidlin, did he go to Everton at any stage?
Yeah, he left just after. He left Man United after a season, I think.
Yeah,
came to us on loan and then came to us permanently under Koeman.
Yeah, so that's another one.
Quite popular in his first season, but not really after that. One as well on the TV at the minute, well regarded for both clubs. Theo Walcott.
Theo, that's a good shout. Yeah, Theo Walcott. Obviously, come back from your place to our place to finish his career. Sad how it ended for him, actually, Theo, because he ended up getting relegated with us, like in that final season when we wore that horrible white kit with the red slash through the middle. Worst Saints kit of all time, by the way. But love Theo. He actually played in the Russell Martin Foundation, Saints Foundation friendly 2 weeks ago, and he was mustard. He was better than anyone on the pitch, but still struggled to finish. He still puts a lot wide. But,
well, I'd expect him to be. He's only maybe a year or two retired now, and I saw him on match today, actually on Saturday, and he was really upset about how it's going on at Saints at the minute. Mark Hughes as well. That's a funny one, isn't it? Mark Hughes. Yeah, Hughes. Obviously, both Everton and Southampton. And just before we finish off, we'll have Richard Wright, who's another one who's not well regarded. You're famous for having players that are absolutely hated at Everton. And then there's Thierry Small, if you can remember that name. Left back who had a lot of promise for Everton and ended up leaving for extra game time, but I'm not sure how it really went for him at Saints.
No, he struggled. Had a tough time. He left. Never played in the first team, I don't think, other than an FA Cup tie against Coventry. He had a nightmare after 45 minutes, was pulled off at half-time, and we never saw him ever again after that moment.
Well, there you have it. Make sure, of course, that you go and check out everything that Martin does. Make sure you like, subscribe, and where can our viewers find you, Martin? Because you've got quite a prominent place in broadcasting when it comes to Saints, haven't you?
Yeah, I do a lot of Southampton content. I've been doing it for about a year now and a bit. You can find me at Football Martin. I go under, so at Football Martin with a little underscore. I'm on YouTube, and I do what you guys do. I create all my own content. It's predominantly just me. Create matchday vlogs, fan cams. Loads of prediction shows, preview shows. I'm going to do one with yourself as well. And then I'm a TikToker as well. I do loads on TikTok. I'm live quite a lot. I do all the fan reaction from all the games, bring it all to social media, and you can find me. I'm well worth a watch. I also make sure, even at the game this weekend, Everton will be here, but I will get to the heart of the Everton fan base as well. So I go and find Everton fans, talk to them about their season, aspirations, what's going right, what's going wrong, and bring it all to my channel. And it's more than just Southampton for sure.
Amazing. Make sure you go and support Martin. Drop him a follow on Twitter and, of course, follow him on TikTok over there. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Toffee Blues. Leave your score predictions down below, and I'll see you in the next one.